Welcome to this vlog. Today I had a conversation with someone I studied with at IDC in Israel a few years back, and he asked me about my experience with venture capital funds. So I gave him some insights. I really hope it helps him. His meeting is tomorrow, so I hope by the time this video is published, we'll know how it went. But nevertheless, I hope it helps you also if you are about to meet a venture capital fund for the first time and what they, like the venture capital funds, are looking for when talking to you about your idea. So stay tuned and I hope you enjoy these insights. Hi.
Hello, Cédric. How are you?
Good. Thank you very much. How are you doing?
All good, all good. Thanks for asking.
It's great to connect again. So how can I help you?
I had this idea for a company that will change how the internship or how the decision-making process for a student on what to study goes, right? So I created just the UX of the app just to kind of put my ideas on something. I started sending the video to doctors or to friends that are struggling with their studies, or that they don't like what decided to study or what they decided to work on,
Yeah.
Because I feel like here in the US, there is a big percentage of unhappiness in the workplace. In my opinion, one of the root causes of that is what they decided to study in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be involved in that, trying to help the younger generation to choose what they want to study. So I created this kind of app that connects professionals with, let's call it, soon to graduate from high school or freshmen in universities, to kind of guide them to get a job in that industry or a position in certain, I don't know how to call it, a certain position will look like in the future.
You get to experience like what you're actually going to work in before you start studying.
Exactly. And also, if you already started studying and you don't want to have a 3-month internship in which they just send you to a corner to do some paperwork that no one wants to do in that company, because that's usually how internships work in the US. Shadowing is more a short-term experience, no more than 2 weeks, where you just follow someone and you see what they are doing for I don't know if it's a whole day or a few hours, depends on the job.
Yeah.
And in South America, this is extremely common in medicine. Doctors take their family members or friends of family that want to be doctors to follow them for a day or for a couple of days. So when I started this, I wanted to focus it only on other careers that were not in the healthcare industry, because healthcare already had it. But when I started doing research, I found that there was no single platform that combined all the shadowing experiences for healthcare.
Okay.
So that's why I wanted to start with healthcare, because I don't need to teach any of both parties what shadowing is, because they already have been doing it for a long time.
Okay.
So now I'm in the process of trying to seek mentors or potential investors to cover all the expenses for developing the full app and going to market.
This meeting with the venture capital is tomorrow.
Yeah, so I by luck, I was in a coffee shop here in Miami last week, and the guy next to me in the table where I was sitting, he was talking in English about having meetings in Israel last week with the Waze founder and with Sam Zell. So I approached him, cold approach, and I asked him about giving me advice about a company a startup that I wanted to start.
Yes.
And he actually asked me to send him an email, and when I sent him an email, he asked me to come to his office.
Wow, I love it.
Tomorrow. And I didn't know that he was a VC, and it turned out to be that he was a VC, and he's the founder of healthcare.com.
Okay.
So a very, very lucky shot that I took.
We call that serendipity.
It was kind of a window of luck that opened, and because I approached him, I went out of that window. To be honest, I have no idea what to expect and what to take, what to prepare. Everything I have, it's in my head and in the video I send you.
Right.
So now I'm thinking, what is he expecting from me from the meeting,
Yes.
Maybe until I think that's the main advice that I need from you, and maybe you can help me with that.
Sure. I mean, like, do you understand in general, like, what the VC is looking for?
No.
Okay. So a venture capital fund, the way it works is they have investors, or sometimes let's say if he had his own company and sold it for money that like he can now invest by himself. He's looking to invest in the next big ideas. Okay, so think of back, let's say on Uber, Facebook, companies that have a big potential and upside. Okay, so for example, like
It's
if
unicorn.
yes. So, for example, he is well aware that, let's say, he invests in 10 companies, only one will be a very big hit if he's lucky. To make his chances better, he only will invest in something that like has at least the potential to become such a valuation.
Okay.
Now, the problem is at this early stage that you are right now, it's very hard to assess whether something is going to be a unicorn. Number one, you don't have a team yet, which is probably one of the most important things. You don't have any sales you can show. You don't have any users to show. So what is the most important thing at this stage is that you show your passion for that project. And you have to convince him, number one, that there is a problem. And number two, that you have the solution for the problem. And number three, that you are the person being able to build the solution for this problem.
Okay.
Now again, don't forget, like you have to love the problem, not the solution. You have to say like you are passionate about solving the problem because we just finished IDC and we just finished the masters and now we're off into the big world and you realize there's a big issue of like finding your purpose in life because when you're interning, the only thing you do is coffee and paperwork. So that's the problem, and that is a problem that you have to show him why you're passionate about it.
Yeah, so that's also what I thought. That if he agreed to a meeting, it's because he wants to meet me, not my idea, because it's just an idea. He could just find someone else to do it, you know?
Yes. Again, I don't know why he decided to meet you, but definitely, you know, if it's like a guy, and I didn't do any research about him or anything, but if it's a guy that is a real venture capital, then like he's probably super busy. You know, like to just take a meeting is usually already like a good sign.
He just wants to help out, but anyways, it's a good experience to have, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, what do you mean help out? I mean, you know, like I like to help you because we're friends, but like usually venture capitalists, they're capitalists. They're not helping you because they like you. They're helping because they want to make a ton of money. Not in a bad way, but that's how it is. So like maybe he's a very nice guy and he wants to help you in the first steps, but if he's serious about this and he wants to invest money, then, you know, you have to understand, like, and also think about it already now, what kind of money do you need? How much do you need? Why do you need it? And what's the valuation you're willing to give up some equity?
Do you think that any sort of valuation on an idea would make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the more self-confidence you have, the better.
And do you think there's a chance that he asks about it?
Again, like that's a very personal thing. But I was in a meeting once where someone told me on the spot, like, here is what I offer you. Take it or leave it. I was not prepared for that question. You have to be able to say, you know, like, I don't know, maybe you need right now, you need for the luxurious version of, you know, getting your product up and running, maybe 100K. And if you do it by yourself, you could do it, let's say, for 10K, you know, if you have to save a lot of money. And then you have to see, like, can he add value that you are either faster, better, you have more connections, more users versus doing it by yourself and not giving up equity. You know, usually the valuation for the investor doesn't really matter at this stage. It's always, let's say, between, I would say, 250,000 valuation to 2 million, depending, you know, who it is.
What I don't have decided yet is a business model. I know that he's going to ask how is this going to make money. Like having a few options of a business model is better than saying, I don't know yet. Or what do you recommend in this scenario where you still don't know how the app is going to make money?
No, I would make the calculations even and think about it of the different business models you can have. You know, then at least you can show some money, because at some point, again, like your valuation will be based on revenue usually or profit. Yeah. So I do recommend you to like think about like the different possibilities. There's not so many. I mean, there are about like, you know, 120 different types of business models in the world. So, you know, like you can pick one or two or three that you would say like these make the most sense. You know, in your case, it probably is a fee for matchmaking, or it's a fee for.
I think mine would be a freemium where you have a free basic app, and then if you want to have more shadowing, then you need to pay for an extra fee, something like that.
Yeah, but like if I'm a professional, I would want to get paid the first time. So like,
You think?
so
Me
who
too.
else will pay?
I thought about that a lot. And let's say doctors that make 300K a year, they actually don't care about getting paid for helping the next generation of doctors.
They don't care not to get paid.
They do it for the purpose of giving back to the
Okay,
community of doctors.
interesting. But that's something you have to test. Unless you test this, you don't
Of
know.
course.
But I would definitely mention that like say one of the tests you want to do once you have like the first users is see who you can charge. So can you charge the client side? Can you charge, or let's say the student side? Can you charge the professional side? Maybe you can charge both sides. I don't know.
That's also something I need to figure out. So the basic stuff that we learn in entrepreneurship, the one pager, let's call it paperwork that you take to a meeting. You think at this stage would be any with relevant having a one pager with me or something like that?
You know, this is very personal again, depending on the venture capitalist's preferences. It definitely can't hurt to have it, and it definitely can't hurt to have a pitch deck. But I would assume that if you don't have it now, you will not have it by tomorrow. So
Yeah.
I would definitely suggest to bring this video again so you can have a look at it again and make sure that you have your numbers down. So like, you know, how much do you think you can charge? What could you test? How much could you test? You know, that you show in your initial, let's say, phase of the first few minutes where you explain to him everything, that you really put everything on the table, you know, without him already asking. Because he will have questions anyways. So the more you answer already beforehand, the better and easier it will be, and it will show that like you put in some thoughts.
Definitely. He only gave me 30 minutes, so I guess it's a short meeting, right?
Yeah, but like to say I offer you $500,000 for 10% of your company takes 5 seconds.
That's true. Hopefully that's the result, right?
Yeah, but again, like the time doesn't really matter. You know, I've had meetings with
Yeah.
people who like say like I have only like 10 minutes for you and then end up being like an hour. I wouldn't be like too intrigued by the time, you know, like 30 minutes can go a long way.
But anyway, so that were my main questions. I also wanted to maybe to get some feedback if you, as what you're doing right now, if you would be interested in being a mentor or a professional giving time to a student that is looking to do what you do in a few years, you know?
Sure, sure. I mean, if you need me as a candidate that like is on your platform, absolutely. Absolutely.
Great.
Sure.
Because, you know, I get very divided answers when I ask this because, and I feel that's kind of the normal thing when you are creating something new, that you will have split answers. People love it and people hate it.
Yes.
That's what I feel like it's very common in this type of ideas and businesses, because not everyone is able to interact with someone that you don't know in your workplace.
That's not bad. I don't think you have a product that like is fit for everybody. And not everybody needs it. You know, the question is like really who would you like to target? But again, like it sounds to me like a good idea. I see the issue and I definitely, you know, relate to it.
Yeah, I think we all relate to it, but it's a matter of accepting that you need it, and you have a time constraint to accepting that because you need to make decisions, and if you don't do all the diligence before making the decision, then you're gonna make a wrong decision or by luck make the right decision, right?
Yes.
I think you cover most of my questions and gave me a lot of...
Good, I hope it helped. The main point is, well, it sounds to me, but again, I don't have context from the investor, is like he wants to see that like you're passionate about this. You have to burn for solving that problem and show him like, listen, this is what I'm willing to do for the next 10 years and make it so big that like there's not a single student that doesn't know about this, and everybody will be using this to understand how they want to spend their lives at work, you know?
Yeah, you are completely right.
And
At the end of the day, it's a matter of people. People invest in people, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you know, like bottom line, you also have to do some, you know, basic like talking to him about, you know, like connect to him on a personal level beyond, let's say, just like the business aspect of it. But again, like in a 30-minute conversation, that may be, you know, hard to do. That's probably more like after when you're like a little bit closer and he gives you more time, and also try to ask a lot of questions. Try to ask him the questions that you asked me. Try to ask him, for example, like where does he invest, or what is important to him when he invests, and what is, let's say, the TAM, the targeted addressable market, when he invests, and has he invested in students and applications that work similar to this, and you know, like you can also ask him. Many times what I hear in the industry is like when you get on an investor, it's literally you sleep with your investors. You get married to them and you have to...
Because VCs tend to be kind of a little bit apart, right? Or they are also on top of you all day.
Yeah, it depends what kind of like reporting they require. But in general, you have to understand that like a VC has to return money to their investors, to their LPs. Again, I don't know the structure of this venture capital, but on a general, in regular terms, a venture capital fund, you know, they have to give back money to their investors at some point, ideally with returns, with a profit. So if you are deciding to build a company for the next 50 years, then it's not a fit. If you decide to build a company for the next 3-4 years and then you are trying to sell it or go to the stock market and get liquid again, then that's interesting for a venture capital fund. But maybe you say, hey, why do I need this? I rather build my business slowly and steadily, organically over the next 10 years, 15 years, and keep the company all by myself. You know, it just takes longer.
I also wanted to ask you a question about that, because I see this idea or this startup to be something to sell to a bigger company in a few years, you know? Like that would be the perfect exit strategy, because making money out of each fee charging to a person would be hard at the end, but selling the company would be great. So VCs are looking more for that exit strategy, or to maintain the equity of the company for a long term.
No, they want to exit at some point. But again, there's VCs that want to build big companies. Again, it depends on the VC. But I would say in general, venture capital funds want to exit within, I would say, 5 to 10 years after the investment to get the money back. But again, like if you say like you want to sell the company, then you have to build your company around that. So then like you also have to like see who will be potential buyers of your company and address them and see if you're building something that they're interested in. If you're building something that they're not interested in, they're not going to buy it.
Also, there is the chance that they just take your idea and kind of integrate that to their, I don't know, let's say LinkedIn starts a shadowing program because they see my idea and they think they can do it better.
Yeah, I mean, they have something. They have something like that. But again, like you have to understand these companies. These companies like Facebook, Google, and all of these big tech companies, Microsoft, they could, or Apple is also a very good example. You know, they could rip off every single startup they wanted. That's not the problem they have. The problem they have is they don't know which one to rip off. You know? So what they do is they look which one is growing fast, which one has a lot of traction, which one has a lot of users. For example, WhatsApp. For example, Instagram, that grew very quick. YouTube, it was a big example back in the days. And then they just buy that, and with all the users already on it. So let's say there is, I don't know, 10 competitors for Instagram. They're just going to buy Instagram because that had the most users on it. They're just waiting and watching. So for example, Facebook, when they wanted to buy Snapchat, Mark Zuckerberg wanted to buy it. Evan Spiegel, yeah. He didn't want to sell, so what did Mark do? He developed them himself. Then they ripped it off because they saw like there's a lot of users. They like what Snapchat is doing, so let's do it for Instagram.
But in first place, he tried to buy it.
Yes.
So that's why he...
Yeah, so then he said like, okay, yeah, so we'll just do it ourselves. There was no lack of ability to do it by themselves. They just said like, listen, Snapchat has a lot of users. Let's just buy Snapchat and we have Snapchat in the Facebook ecosystem. But Evan Spiegel, he said like, no, he prefers to build something on her own. Whether that's wrong or right, I don't know. But it's a fair decision.
Well, I think that sums up most of my questions. I would love to give you an update after the meeting, just to let you know how it went. And if you need anything, anytime, let me know. I would happy help you.
Sure. No, listen, I just wish you a lot of success. I think mainly you should enjoy the process tomorrow. and see like that you know show how you're excited about this and how much potential it has. And I think then there's the most potential of continuing and moving forward.
Perfect, Cedric. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and good luck in Miami. And
thank you. Good luck in Zurich, and let me know if you need anything anytime, and let me know if you ever come to Miami.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.